and we're live. Sorry about the delay. I was un-Bluetoothing my headphones but decided to stop working. Thank God they did it before the show and not during the show. Or this would have been typical. How are you, Nick? How's your week been, love?
It's been pretty good. I mean, I've been busy. Like I said right before we went on, I've been making more presentations for Nick File, so it's been keeping me busy. But other than that, I've been doing fine. Hope you're doing well yourself.
Oh, that's good. Sorry. So apart from that, friends go and do that night. So you've had a good week then.
So far, so good.
So good. We've got 6 in the chat. Is anybody want to come on and say hello so we know that we'll talk about the devil and hear it come to your face?
Just got one.
I'll tell you what, I'll let you be in charge of the comments tonight, Nick, because I forget you and we could do the same job. So tonight, guys, we were going to go to Noble, right? But I chose not to, and I'll tell you why. Because recently, guys, I've got back into reading, and I've been reading. Really, what's caught my attention was an author called Jason Neal. Now, Jason Neal wrote a series of 10 books called True Crime Histories, and my God, I am so engrossed. It's unbelievable. Now, I emailed Jason today, just to say well done in the books and talk away to him and that. And he was so nice. The guy was so nice. He actually emailed me back. So I'm quite in my element, right? Because that was something that I wasn't expecting. But tonight I want to focus on one of the cases that he done. Well, we wrote about. And it was a case that was in Canada. Of a filmmaker called Mark Twitchell. Now, for everybody that doesn't know who Mark Twitchell was, he was a Canadian filmmaker who, as you can see, I've got company tonight with my cat.
I was going to say, it looks like you got a little guest there who wants to join the show.
Oh, listen, she's been a pain in my ass all day, Nick. Basically, the case was that this gentleman had wrote a script called The House of Cards. And The House of Cards was basically about a serial killer that went onto dating sites and basically said that he was female. Basically that the person was female when it was actually male on the other end. Now, what was ironic about this case, guys, and I read it and I was so engrossed that I don't think I've put his book down. I don't think my man's seen much of the tablets since I've started reading again. What got me about this case was that it wasn't so much about what he'd done, but he wrote a confession. Now, I would need to actually track down the actual confession, like the full confession. But Jason pretty much covered it, and I was so. We've all looked at serial killers. We all know that serial killers don't give away much detail about what they do, or even if they do, I'll give me. Sorry about that, guys. She's using my hair as some sort of net. So, as we know with serial killers, guys, they don't give much away. They really don't. You're lucky if you get anything out of them at all, location. But this guy was so honest. And the way that he documented, wrote about his confessions was just so ironic. It did captivate my mind because he actually went into great detail what he'd done and how he was feeling and how he went home to his wife, and he was always afraid of getting caught. It was just, did you look at the case, Nick?
I haven't really been able to look at it a lot. I mean, look into it frequently, but I do know a few things about it, and it's just to me, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense of how, if this was a guy that was going to go out and basically be a serial killer, like go out and like kill people, but at the same time have the thought of the fear of being caught for it, it's just like, then why the hell would you do it in the first place? It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
He was actually inspired by Dexter. Now, I'm going to be really honest. I haven't actually watched Dexter.
Cliff just wrote this, actually.
What did he write? Sorry, I'm flipping in between. Twitch had originally been inspired. Oh, funny enough, we're talking
he read your mind.
Same train of thought here, right?
Hello, Bobby from Florida. Cliff.
Hey, everyone.
Oh my God, Annette, really? You're going to start calling me that? She started. Okay, so I'll make this real quick. The reason why she's starting to call me that was when I was doing Nick files yesterday, which I was doing on my laptop. Usually I have most of my web pages on dark mode, and for some reason the laptop turned off the dark mode. I didn't have enough time to switch it back to dark mode, so everything looked so bright that everyone's always seen me with this whitish, ghostly white appearance. But in this case, with yesterday I still had that pale appearance, but it gave kind of like this bluish color to it. So everybody started calling me a slurp. Damn it!
So that. Tell them that you're not a papa yet. Oh, by the way, right, I know that's going off topic a wee bit. Oh, Nick, did you see Dan last night in Simply Spooky?
I did not, but I heard about it though. What was I doing yesterday? Because I was working on more again. My schedule has just been packed again. I'm just trying to get all this work done so I don't have to keep dealing with this anymore. So unfortunately, I wasn't really able to watch anything.
Oh, you didn't want to watch him. He was telling into me that arsehole, I'm going to kick him in the shins the next time that I seen him.
What did he do? I gotta ask. What did he do?
Right, he dressed up as a medium called Tony. Was it Stackwell? He looked a bit like Elton John. And then he pronounced it. And it watched it. And he'd be nice to tell everybody in the viewers that I had crabs. He's a bastard.
I'm gonna have to watch this after when we're done with this show. I mean, this I gotta see.
Don't encourage him. Right, I found a bit of the confession. Right, I'm going to pick bits and bobs of what I read. Right, guys, because I do understand that, obviously, because of thingy, so I'm going to pick out bits that are thingy, but this is the kind of things, his kind of way of thinking. What he said was, this story is based on true events. The names and events were altered slightly to protect the guilty. This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer. Like anyone just starting out in a youth skill, I had a bit of trial and error in the beginning of my misadventure. Allow me to start from the beginning, I think you'll see what I mean. I don't remember. Stephen's laughing because Mark's put down that it was a misadventure. When I think of misadventure, I think of when you're gaming and you die. Right? So please don't think that I'm laughing at what he does, because I'm not. I don't remember the exact place and time it was that I decided to become a serial killer, but I remember the sensation that hit me when I committed to the decision. It was a rush of pure ethereal. I know what I'm
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but even Eric notices that you were frozen again.
Right, I'll just have to go outside. It's been doing this all day, so I'm going to have to go to my root box that I can sit. So tonight, guys, I'll tell you what, I'll even change the rights to that since we're doing serial killers, right? Oh, wrong colour. There we are.
There you go.
So we're in a colour. Either that or we're in the red light district.
You look like in what do they call those places? With the red lights. It's like oh man,
a brothel.
No, not a brothel. You know what? No, I was actually thinking of see, I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, and I don't know if you ever saw that episode with the there was an episode where Kramer had a Kenny Rogers chicken roaster outside his apartment building. There's like this red light that comes in and makes the entire apartment all red. It's right across from his window, as he says. Tanning room. Bobby's. Oh, Eric's like demon.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. Hey, Kelly. So what got me was this. I felt like I'm less stressed, if you will, at the freedom of the prospect. There was something about urgently exploring my dark side that greatly appealed to me, and I'm such a methodic planner and thinker. The very challenge itself was enticing to behold. I'm actually going to put this into the group chat. Right, what cheek have I missed?
You're frozen again, but now it seems like every time I'm about to tell you that you're frozen, you come back then.
Like, do you know what? I'm going to turn round, so I'm actually face to face with my bot. No, I do look like a demon. I actually like the colour.
Cliff is like, spirits like red light. Watch your back. Hey, Laura, good to see you.
Don't worry, guys. I'm that bad. I actually do look like a demon. They want to get pushing yourself laughing.
I can barely see your face.
Sometimes that's a good thing, Nick. Right, I'll turn the light off in case MD's light sensitive. How's that?
Yeah, there we go.
So we're having a great ball in this crime show tonight. So this gentleman, I'm going to actually put it in the link for you to read. Oh, thank you very much, hon.
You look like yourself.
You'll be getting that Mr. on Frighteners tomorrow night. But yeah.
I'm sorry, Laura. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You go, honey.
I actually wanted to show a comment that Bobby brought up a few minutes ago. He says, I'm retired after 35 and a half years in prison. I worked in solitary confinement for 16 years. I know a few mass murders. So if I'm correct, he was a prison guard.
Yep. Do you know what? I would love to bring you on one night, Bobby, and talk about, obviously, solitary confinement, because that must be the hardest job ever, dealing with folk in solitary.
That was correct, yeah.
Wow. I'm actually thinking I'm on the laptop, so I was ready to click the window there. I'm not on the laptop, it's a tablet, so I'm sitting here tapping the table for nothing. Oh, wow. The thing that got me when I read this was just the way that he spoke about it. I mean, his wife was under the illusion that he was going to work every day. And now take this into account, right? Because what he wrote was, when a man approaches 30 years of age, he tends to question what his ultimate purpose is in the world. You better not become a serial killer. And where he fits into the picture. And then I remembered something else, a passage I read from a novel by the renowned fantasy writer David Gemmell in reference to the Bronze Age assassination. I can't recall the exact wording, but it's the philosophy that hit home. The assassinate reflected on what he does with his life with guilt, another emotion I'm incapable of, and someone in partly a bigger picture of wisdom. He said that the assassin is the hand of the fate. Fate has already decided everyone's time to die from the moment they are born. When it's time, it's their time, and if they do not die of old age or sickness, when their time comes or other factors are employed by fate to get the job done, I think about that whenever I plan to kill. It's not me who chooses the victims, but fate. Oh, sure, I choose the victim to match my own criteria in the interest of remaining free and at large. But for the most part, I'm merely following my own nature, which was devised by the grand design of the universe. So when you're reading this, Nick, I mean, honestly, the guy is so honest about why he killed, why he did it, and it mind blowed me.
Yeah, it's interesting to note of how this guy was willing to confess to everything, because usually when it comes to a lot of serial killers, the typical kind of way how they usually confess is they might admit to certain crimes or to certain murders, but will flat out refuse to talk about other murders that they have been allegedly suspected of committing. So, you know, the fact this guy just flat out told everything, that definitely stands out. It's really something that you very rarely see with a lot of modern day serial killers.
I think as well, when it came to it as well, I think when, you know, obviously, oh, fuck the demons back. I do apologise, my lights have gone colour. So when obviously click somebody
that was when you were frozen. That was when we were frozen on one of the other occasions.
that doesn't surprise me. My face would have looked like that.
Hey Vivian.
Hello, Vivian. I was telling Nick about that Dan and what he did to me last night, the bastard. So what I found, you know, the most when I read obviously about this guy, you know, it was just the fact that how honest he was. Like, his wife thought he was going to work, and he would actually put his routine down that he would go somewhere, pick up a coffee, and then go to the house. He actually bought a house. It was like an old house, but it was like where obviously people couldn't see much in. And then he would go through the whole detail of obviously how he pick his victims and, you know, how he got away with it. And oh, it was just, as I said, it was mind-boggling because, as you know, no many killers do keep that sort of information.
Oh yeah, it's just you know, just the way how this guy even would just simply describe a lot of the details of these murders that he committed. I mean, even though I haven't read a lot into it, and you're frozen once again. Seems like it's happening when you're putting your hand or something close to the camera.
No, but it is. It's because I tell you what, I'm going to do it through my phone because then that way I'll know freeze. Because
Okay.
there was something. It's just one of the nights. I'll tell you, frighteners will be the same tomorrow night. I bet you. my boys missed me last week, I think. Well, no, Ian, he never misses me.
Eric says he doesn't have a lie mechanism in his brain. That's why he keeps getting in trouble.
I could believe that. I really could believe that. I'm going to ask you.
But no, what I was saying though was, you know, it's just the fact that this guy really went up and explained these details. I mean, I could already picture just the way how he must have described them. How it's almost like as if you just be having a normal conversation about what you did during the day. It's just so weird that he would just.
Well, Coppers actually described him as being very, very cooperative, and he was actually making them laugh. He was like, just during me talking, he was pretty much like that. I mean, he goes through detail. As I said, guys, I'm going to put this in the description so that obviously you guys can read. But I mean, he even documents how he was going through his plans. You know, first of all, he needed a location, so he went through listings to find something suitable. He started looking for regular secure storage, video surveillance. Honestly, his details second to none, because, as I said, when I was reading this, I was like, surely no, nobody's been in that in depth. And as I'm reading it, it's exactly the same stuff that I read in Jason's book.
Man, it's just you know, I again with you talking about, I mean, when you also mentioned about how he actually made these officers laugh about it. It just the very thought of it itself is unsettling. You know, why all of a sudden you would commit these murders and not only confess to what you did, but actually go as far as to making the officers laugh on certain details. I mean, it just doesn't seem right that he was able to give that type of behavior, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at the victims, well, one got away and never ever reported it, but the second one wasn't that lucky. But when he was looking for like victims, he'd make sure that they were in their late 30s to 40s. Made sure that they were self-employed, they lived alone, and they were lighter than him. Obviously, the height between 5'7", 5'11", with an average body type, weighing in between 150 to 180 pounds. That was his ideal target for his victims. And even when I read that, I thought, he's actually went, you know, through it. You know, many serial killers, when you look at their thing, they always say it's irrational thinking. But this man has literally actually thought about it, planned it out.
Cliff was asking, how many did he kill?
I'm going to freeze again, right?
Yeah, you're frozen.
Yep. Believe it or not, he actually had one victim, but the guy that got away, so technically 2 victims, but I think it was because how cunning he was and how it was carried out, and also the fact of how detailed it was from the beginning to the end. I mean, he was looking. He was actually pleased with himself. I mean, that's what he's saying. He was pleased with himself because he had perfectly formulated plan, and he was fully prepared. He had a mask, and he had an identity shield to give the victim a false sense of security. So if, say, they caught him off guard and they showed up early to meet this lady, he would show them round the film set and say it was a film set and that the person would only be back, you know, in a short time.
Oh man, that's always like a recipe for disaster when it comes to someone to a certain individual that, you know, regardless of what they're doing, you know, like when they give you that false sense of security and they take advantage of that, that's definitely a very frightening scenario, because it may have been someone. This is one of those classic examples of, you know, this could be someone that could be living next door to you, or someone that works to kind of try to keep everybody safe. Now realize that the person who is supposed to keep you safe is actually the killer themselves, and that's what makes it so frightening about it. But I also wanted to add about like what Cliff was asking earlier. Like you said, yes, he only was charged with 1, but he said kind of 2. But you also have to remember too, typical of such serial killers, there's no doubt that he was probably suspected of other murders.
He was, and I think as well, including, I think there was many victims that he did try that, did click into the fact that they weren't some of them weren't daft, some of them did get suspicious about obviously the type of behaviours that he was showing. And I mean, the way that he described it was like his head was rushed with adrenaline, his stomach had half a second flutter of butterflies before he resolved his strength, and he stood there in the dark because he had a stun baton. The typical taser guns used by police carry a charge of 50,000 volts. The stun baton actually boasts 800,000 volts, which sounds really lethal, but you have to understand that isn't the voltage, but the amps delivered by the weapon that matters. Either way, he was confident in the weapons that he used.
Jeez. I mean, it's certainly a terrible way to go either way. I mean, just like, wow. I'm really surprised I have not heard of this case. I mean, well, I'm really surprised I haven't heard so much about it. So
I think Jason's aim in this is just looking at so far what I've read. Just get down, please. Obviously it wasn't like how everybody fixates on like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, Jason wasn't writing about these people. Jason was writing about cases, and this is why I probably love his books so much, is because there were ones that I'd never heard of. And that's what I loved about Jason. And guys, if you're into reading, please, 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 he is on Facebook and he has got a page. Yeah, definitely, like a page obviously about his books and things like that. But please, yeah, do check the books out and do read them. And that's what actually, as I said, this is why I did tonight's show, because this one really just blew my mind. First of all, I hadn't heard of the case, and second of all, I think it was just the pure sheer honesty.
Right. Well, let's check this out. Bobby just wrote this. I've also had Mafia Hitman, and actually has 51 bodies to his credit. His name is Carmine Lavaco. And I also had Harold Koenigsberg, who also was a Jewish mob hitman. Wow.
Oh, wow, Bobby. Oh, Bobby, that's
gotta be. That's got to be. I mean, I know you were a guard, but still, that's got to be scary to have those type of people in those cells, knowing what they were responsible for.
Oh God, definitely. I mean, solitary confinement, I can't even begin to imagine what it'll be like down there working. It must be really, really eerie. And I think that from a paranormal point of view, it would be extremely eerie, even investigating.
I think any new prison guard that comes in, knowing who they're going to be guarding or what prison they're going to, like with who's like the most notorious criminals. I mean, it's got to be, even probably for some of the most experienced prison guards, it's got to be a nervous feeling for some. I mean, it's typical for a lot of prison guards to be desensitized from, such an environment like that. I mean, you do get, because, eventually as time goes on, you do eventually learn how to get used to it. But still, when you have a notorious criminal, especially if it's involving a serial killer, it still can really shake even the most experienced prison guards to their core, because just knowing what they did and exactly how their victims must have felt. It just, if I was a prison guard myself, I would almost feel the same. Again, it wouldn't seem right that I'd be under the same roof as that killer.
I think a lot of things that I've learned on my counselling course, one of them is about unconditional positive regard. And what counsellors are basically taught is that, yeah, you can have your biases. Everybody has biases, right? I don't care who says they don't. You generally do, right? Everybody's got judgments. Everybody's got biases. But what they're saying counselling is, if you're counselling these people, no matter how you feel about what they've done, you've got to see them as a person.
Right, right. As much as in spite of what they've done, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the reality is, yeah, they're still people, regardless. Yeah,
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't. I guess I've had a lot of self-talk when I've done my council course, and we have spoke about, unpositive, unconditional positive regard. Try to get my tongue in that. I'm not used to saying it now. It just rolls off. But yeah, it can be really hard, and I think when obviously that's why I really really wanted to do one of Jason's cases from his book, and I think I will be, doing future shows. Because as much as people look at like John Wayne Gacy's, we've covered Ted Bundy, Denham, and that there is a lot of cases out there that probably have got 5 minutes in the paper and then forgotten about. As I said, since I've read Jason's books, they have inspired me to look further out the box rather than focusing on the big names.
right.
As
And you always, it's like some people fail to realize, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, but
no, you're fine. I was done anyway.
it's like no, it actually is commenting on kind of what you're talking about, is that it's like it's one of those situations where they're focusing on several of these names that become big names in this group, if you will. But it's like not realizing that there, in this case with serial killers, that there were other killers out there that were just as bad throughout history, and those ones are often ignored. I mean, it's like, the fact that what was Jason's last name again? The one who's written the books.
Neil. Jason Neil.
So it's actually quite fascinating that he's focusing on a lot of the lesser cases, and I'm actually doing something similar like that myself, believe it or not with books, but with my presentations. It's actually very similar of how like these presentations and documents that I'm working on are more of other like in this case haunted and historical locations that don't get as much attention compared to other places. So it's very similar what I'm doing. So it's always interesting to know, that there's always someone out there that's finally focusing on that's ignoring these bigger cases and finally focusing on these other cases that people should be talking about.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I totally agree. As I said, I mean, it has inspired me to look at, because I always look at better ways to make the show better, or look at, ways that, well, what have I not covered? What is these cases that maybe I'm missing? Maybe because I think to myself, do you know what? I've covered all the big names that I can think I've done, for Richard Ramirez, through to Ted Bundy, through to Jeffrey Dahmer. I've been through them all, and it's kind of like, as I said, when I started reading his books and the way he writes them, and obviously looked at the cases individually, I'm mind blown. And as I said, I'm mind blown by this one, because the level of honesty from Mark himself is just, it's like, wow, I've never seen something quite like it.
Right. Really quickly, this is what Bobby was responding to earlier. I was a natural, took the job right after serving in the military. Well, first off, Bobby, thank you for your service. Also, I'm the former heavyweight champ of the Northeast AAU 1993. So he did okay. That's fantastic. Full contract MA.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I've seen what frightens me the most are the kids that kill other kids. Do you know what, Viv? There's a lot of cases out there, again, excluding James Bulger, that has happened. That many know. In fact, what one did I read for Jason? I think it is well known, but not as much. Was the one? Now, don't quote me. I don't know if it was Scotland or England, but there was a little girl who killed another wee boy, she actually strangled them, and she actually went to the mother's door. I'm not laughing because I find it funny, but it's just the pure balls of going to the parents' door and asking to see the child in the coffin. And
I
the
think it was.
parent,
I think
sorry,
that might
Nick,
have been in England. No, I was going to say I think
in
that might have
England,
been in England. Yeah, it might have been.
yeah. And I think that one was a bit off for me as well. But there is many, and when I read Jason's books and when I do research serial killers, there seems to be a common theme, which is that they start young, but it doesn't start off as serial killing as such. It's minor things become big things, and then the bigger things lead to the most biggest things. And a
And
lot of
that's
them.
no, I was going to say, and that's kind of like what Vivian just brought up. I mean, I might have brought this up before in another show, but to kind of also comment on Vivian's show is that I don't know if some of you guys remember this. You know, this was made about over 10 years ago now. There actually was a show that was running for a couple of years that was called Killer Kids, which did focus on not necessarily. I mean, there were a few that had that serial killer aspect to it, but most of the time it was usually focusing on usually the ages that ran were anywhere between about 9 to 19 years old. So, and it would usually focus on murdering at least one kid, or some other cases it would involve an entire family being murdered, or killing multiple victims, or some of these kids would grow up to become these notorious serial killers, including Ted Bundy himself. So it's definitely frightening to know that that even at a young age, for some young serial killers, or even just a one-time murderer, it's just it's almost like it's never too early for them to start committing these horrific crimes. And it's just unfortunate and shocking to know that the murders and crime, like the age of murders and crimes nowadays, it's just getting younger and younger. Like what exactly how it causes that is just, I think, beyond a lot of us. I mean, you could have the best psychologists or doctors around to figure out what's going on with this kid or what's creating this very negative mind. Of course, some people just simply say they were born evil. That's just who they are.
I think if I do find it, where it does say that he was born evil.
Well, you're reading. Bobby also brought this up. Another inmate they had while he was serving in the when he was working at the penitentiary. So had a guy, Hatchet Harry Berzos, who chopped up drug dealers. Jeez, he didn't mean to have this as caps, but man, getting hacked up. That's a terrible way to go.
Yeah,
you should, Bobby. I agree with Cliff's comment here. Write a book about it. And at some point, like you said, Lois, I mean, Bobby, maybe at some point, if you're ever interested, we'll have to have you on as a guest so you can talk about some of the experiences you had while you were working at the penitentiary.
Definitely. I mean, as well as he said, you see, in my day life, I'm an independent filmmaker, and everything in that garage could be easily explained away as props for filming a psychological thriller. How I can be on one side of the city scrapping with a potential killer until 7:20 p.m. and be home less than an hour later would have been a stretch at best. Still, I can't shake the forbidden feeling. I kept thinking any moment I'd see flashing lights behind me asking me to pull over. Despite my perfect attendance to post speed limits and cautious observation, surely a arresting officer would wonder why I was so sweaty and why there was a bag with a hoodie, a jacket, a stun weapon, and a set of handcuffs in my trunk. But those lights never showed up in my rear view mirror. And it was just, and he even says at one point that his fear had even subsided, and he drove home, and he actually practiced his whole entire behaviour pattern. it's just, honestly, reading this, your jaw kind of drops, even when he details. And this is why I wouldn't go into what he said, what he's done to them. But when I'm reading the split between what's happened before he's went in and after. But it's just how he can definition, and now this is what my thing is often wondered, that is like, how can one definition one's life from what they done? And I think he's a perfect example to read how he does it. And it's good. I don't mean it's good, but what I mean is you're getting an insight to I mean, I've often, you've sat in any shows with me, Nick, when I've asked that question, how can somebody go out, do what they do, and go home and live a perfectly normal life? And I think
like nothing happened.
His is the best to read, definitely.
I'm just going to go back just to some of the comments here. Know of a young lad who was killed by young lads while glue sniffing. Jeez. All over the fact he owed one 5 pence. Jeez.
Jesus God.
That is just nuts. Oh, Bobby's interested. He says there are a few. So, okay. Yeah, Bobby, at some point, let's talk one of these days. We'll get you on the show. Makes you wonder what's going on with the word today. I'm not sure what Eric means by that.
World. I meant to say world, but he's put
okay, yeah, okay. Now, maybe just, brother. Daughter-in-law worked in a home where there was a young girl who witnessed her parents murder her siblings brutally. Then they skipped counties, ended in the UK. Anyhow, she ended in care, but she doesn't have any emotions now and laughs at other kids being hurt. Sends a shudder down her spine. Poor thing. See, that's the other sad part too. Some of these kids that commit these crimes is that they witness, these murders themselves. And I'm no expert when it comes to the psychological aspect of things, but if they witness something like that at a young age, and even if that person gets justice, like they get arrested for that type of crime, seeing something like that is literally burned into your mind forever. And unfortunately, some people are very traumatized by it and very frightened by it. But unfortunately, there's also a few others out there that either their mind snaps or they grow some kind of fascination with it. Almost like, wow, that actually looks pretty cool. That's where you eventually have what's these so quote unquote thrill killing. You don't have to have a reason killing people. You're just killing them for the ultimate thrill of it. So it's definitely frightening when kids witness something like that, and then when they see another kid or somebody getting seriously injured or something like that, that's, in my mind, that's a red flag.
I mean, when I read this, right, and I make reference to Dexter, what Mark said was, I'm a huge fan of the Showtime series Dexter. As you may have guessed, if you're all familiar with the show, which I'm not, Dexter enjoys a sweet, dark, alone time of his own apartment since his girlfriend, Rita, and her 2 kids, Aston and Cody, are not as tangled into his life as my family is with mine. I had nothing to do with the sweet, dark, alone time in my basement computer office. Once the child, referring to his own child, was snugly tucked away in a crib and my wife was sleeping peacefully, it was perfectly for what I needed to do. And my wife is certainly no a sound sleeper, requiring earplugs just to cork out and getting up several times during the night, but we sleep apart, so my disturbing her from getting up was never an issue. Some people think, Eris, sorry about that. Some people think that sleeping apart is determined to the relationship. I don't see how. I mean, I'm only a serial killer seeing my ex-girlfriend on the side and my wife has no clue about it, but neither of those things has to do with the sleeping arrangement in our household. I sleep in the basement because I often stay up later than my wife, and when we do sleep together, there's never enough room in the queen bed for two, which kind of made me laugh because it made me think you mean my boyfriend. But it was just how, obviously, as I said, he went through the full thing and it was just like jaw dropping. I actually seen a video the other day. Actually, Nick, if you give me 2 minutes, I'll kind of let you play. I'll send it to you, Nick.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's nothing too gruesome. It's just when the officers take him around this crime scene.
Sure.
But there's no much. There's actually no any. Really, you don't hear him speaking. You hear merely the officer, but no, he doesn't really say anything. But it's just his whole, his whole demeanour.
Right.
2 minutes till I see.
While you're doing that, I'm just going back through the comments again. Cliff just made another good comment here, and this was what I was just talking about when it comes to kids witnessing such crimes. Some are conditioned to think it is normal. That's unfortunately the reality for some kids, and it's really hard to change it. To change them, to let them know that no, this is not acceptable, and you never ever want to do something like this. It's hard sometimes to change. I guess you can kind of call decondition them, if you will. Brian, what the hell? Shh, don't mention glue, Cliff. You'll be giving Lois ideas. I was actually thinking more of, I always bring up that whole case with Gorilla Glue.
Listen, hey, Mr. Millie, I've heard enough of your Gorilla Glue stories.
No, I was just going to tell Cliff, just don't use that Gorilla Glue, Cliff.
You don't want to know what Nicholas was saying about it.
Jeremy's heard it all the time, though.
Oh, Jeremy, I'm not going to put this show into X-rated. Right. I've sent you that video if you could. See if you can try and play it, Nick. As I said, it's only like a minute, and it's like when they take him round back to the crime scene.
All right, yeah, I just got the link. I'm opening up right now. Let's see.
No, it gives you hairy palms.
Wait, what is?
Bryce says it gives you hairy palms even. That.
Hey, can you shave your hands off yet, or is that Gorilla Glue working?
Oh my god!
All right,
I can't take this man anywhere.
I gotta take the headphones off for a sec so I can listen to it. Give me 1 second here.
No problem. What he wants to make sure is it's no X-rated, and I haven't sent him anything to do with Gorilla Glue. Nick is happy, but he prefers the term of Papa Smurf.
Oh, don't even start, Jeremy. I'm watching it right now.
Right, as Nick's doing that, guys, so tomorrow night we're back on Frighteners, so definitely. Tomorrow night we're talking about Chernobyl. And I'll give you a laugh about Chernobyl tomorrow night about me and my man in a conversation in movies. It's hilarious. But Chernobyl's a really interesting one. I would love to go there without a shadow of a doubt. I'd love to go and investigate. Jeremy says, don't worry, Nick, I won't start. I'm saving it for tonight. So I take it you've got Jeremy after me. Eric says I'm blue.
He's bringing up that song. That's why I brought up. I actually made a reference about it last night. All right, so it's just like 2 seconds left.
I'm saying nothing. But yeah, so be a good one, guys. I would love to go to Chernobyl without a shadow of doubt. It's a really interesting. Actually, my man, he was so dead sweet once. We still got the VR, and he actually bought the Chernobyl experience. And it was really, even though it was good, it wasn't as good as what it would be if it was there. At least no crabs were hurt. Don't get me started in that, Dan. That Dan's getting a kick right in the balls when I see him the next time. Hey, Lauren.
Wow.
For
Lauren
MD,
from Virginia. Good to see you again.
hey, Lauren. But if you guys want to see the reference, go and see the famous Tony Stackwell. The guy's a total wank, but I'll be telling Dan. So is that okay for showing?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing graphic or anything. I mean, it is a little bit unsettling to watch. It's nothing graphic. So, but I watched the whole thing though.
Dexter is in the top show 10 shows ever. Do you know what? I've never watched it, Cliff. I've never ever watched it. I just and when it comes to programs, I'm quite when the only ones really that I've ever watched with crime is Personal Interest, The Mentalist, when The Mentalist used to be in Channel 5. What else bands have I watched? Touch of Frost and things like that. But I've never, it's not really a programme. But now that, a lot of people are talking about it and obviously I've read about it, I'll need to try and get a wee watch, see if I can get into it.
I did try watching it for a little while because, like I said earlier, my mom used to watch the show, and I just don't know what it was, but I could not bring myself into that show, even though there's times where there actually is a little bit of horror thrown into the series because, it is talking about a serial killer, of course. But still, I just could not bring myself into watching Dexter. I really don't know why, to be honest.
I've, as I said, it's not one of the programs that, even though I'm into serial killers and criminology and psychology and things like that, wouldn't it be, the programs wouldn't it be interesting? 10 Rolling Places, brilliant about Christine, that nasty man.
Never heard of that one before. That's new. But you know what? I actually did think of one other show. I mean, not necessarily dealing with a serial. Well, at the beginning it does, but then it kind of focuses on other crimes. This actually would be a show I'd come to think of it now. As big as it was here in the U.S., this was a show I heard that was way more bigger and popular in the UK itself because obviously it was made in the UK. And that was, I did watch Ripper Street, if you remember that one. Did you ever watch that show?
I do remember. I remember the show, but again, I never watched it.
It was a really good show because what I loved about it is it's not necessarily the crimes that they're focusing on. It's the fact that, and this would, and it's not, it wouldn't just be based off. It's not just because this was just in the UK. I mean, this was like this for any country back in the late 19th century. It really was that type of show of how law enforcement back in the days did try to solve crimes, especially murders. Obviously using basically methods that we don't use anymore today because of a lot of the technology we have in this day and age. It was just fascinating of how they could try to really do whatever they could to try to figure out who was responsible for this murder, how they did it, exactly how the entire event took place. Very different era compared to what we have now, but it was really well done. So it's if you haven't seen the show, sadly the show no longer runs because it was kind of meant to be kind of like a mini series of some sort. There's five different series. They were more called series than seasons, but really good show. It actually focused on a well-known investigator who actually was huge on who really was the investigator of the Jack the Ripper case. And that was Edmund J. Reed. But like I said, in spite of its name, it doesn't really focus too much on the Jack the Ripper case, but it does focus on other crimes, some of which, were actual crimes that happened in the late 19th century in London.
I must admit, right, what I really, really pisses me off, right, about Netflix is you guys there in America get all the good fucking channels with all the programs I watch with, and I'm stuck with all the shite in Britain. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you.
Well, this show I'm talking about, this was on like BBC America, so I knew already that this show would have had to been shown in the UK first before it ever came overseas to the US.
I mean, all the old comedy programs as well, and I'm like, oh my god, it makes me even want to move to America just for the TV. But as I said, definitely, guys, I'll post that link into the chat, and you guys can quite happily read to your heart's content. But please, definitely, if you are a big reader and you read books, definitely Jason Neal's books, the series 1 to 10. Now, I only started it, believe it or not, tail end of the weekend just there, and now I'm on basically book 6. So that shows how in it. And do you know what? I found myself more and more distancing myself with TV and more reading books, to be fair. And I used to actually be a really good reader when I was younger. So, quite chuffed with myself.
I didn't know this, what Cliff said. The character of Dexter was largely based on a Brazilian serial killer named Pedro Rodriguez. Philip, if I'm saying that right. Like Dexter, the murderer claimed only to kill murderers and criminals without taking innocent lives.
Thank you very much, Cliff. I'll actually research that one and see if we can link it up to tonight's show, definitely.
You see what I meant earlier is that there's all these other killers out there that you don't really hear too much about.
I think because obviously the likes of Netflix, Prime, any movie, documentary always focuses on the big names rather than the cases that are really not that known. Hey Parker, I haven't answered because I'm here.
Pedro died 3 days ago?
3 years ago. Wow. Oh, wow.
Cliff, if I may ask if you know, how did he die?
In fact, no, I'll tell you what, I'll do it after the show. I'll research him definitely. Still Game, you can't beat Still Game. Still Game is absolutely brilliant. Guys in America, you've got to watch it. It's really, really good. Thin Blue Line, keeping up the appearances. Oh, I love keeping up the appearances. Really, really, really good. It is a really, really good one. But definitely, and again, guys, I'll definitely be looking into smaller cases, and definitely next week I'm going to let Nick pick the subject. This is a spot I absolutely love putting Nick in. Right, Nicky boy.
Hold on 1 second, Lauren. Living near 5 battlefields, hour and a half, half hour drive to Washington D.C.
Oh wow!
So you must be Lauren, because I know you said you live in Virginia. You must live close to must be Northern Virginia, Virginia Washington D.C. border. That's awesome. Yeah. Cliff, go Nick, go. Okay. All right, let me think here for a second. Well, I've actually been deciding over a few different cases. Ironically enough, Ashburn, Virginia. That's where she's at.
So, I better not be Gorilla Glue, the killer of Gorilla Glue.
No, Gorilla Glue. That was founded in Ohio, not Virginia. That came in Ohio. Brightest brought up Gettysburg. You know what? I actually would probably hold off on Gettysburg because for a good reason. I'd wait until the anniversary to write, because this year is going to mark the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg. So I think it would be far more appropriate if we actually did it on the anniversary itself in July. So yeah, that would actually be a really cool idea. Oh, just an hour drive to Gettysburg. Check that out.
Oh wow!
you're not far from the Pennsylvania border either. That's awesome.
God, I would know my geography. My geography is shit, Eric. Honestly, I couldn't get my way out of it.
Oh my God. All right, so for that matter, I'm either deciding one of two different cases. I either want to focus on either, ironically enough, it's another known serial killer in Chicago, H.H. Holmes. We haven't done an episode on that one yet. Or
well, Nicholas, if you want to do H.H. Holmes, then I'm all for it. What's your second option, though?
Well, I was going to say I had a second one, though, too, because I said I had one of two. The other one, believe it or not, it's definitely a far more gruesome one, but again, it's not as well known. It's actually something called the, as hard as it's going to sound to believe, the Cleveland Torso Murders.
Well, why don't we do both of them? Just hit two birds with one stone if you can't pick.
I can't see why not.
Kitty, what do we say? Do we say yes, Nick? We'll do both. She's
I
not
wish my cat could act like that. If she was here right now, I'd pick her up.
Oh, this one doesn't leave Mum's side. Mum can't go to the bathroom. Mum can't do anything, and else has got to be there. I was doing my college work the day, and it was kind of, she was getting in my way. She just wants to be with me all the time. When I go out in the morning to work or that, she's trying to come out the door with me. Good luck, Lauren.
Yeah, well,
much love from us all, honey.
What exactly is I've never heard of that shot before. What exactly is that? A cortisone shot?
Oh.
I don't know what that is, but it's just like definitely sounds scary. But yeah, good luck for tomorrow, Lauren.
Good luck, definitely. And I just want to say also that I can't even remember now, it's been in my head.
Oh, it's for muscles. That's what it is. Okay.
It's for muscles.
Thanks, Eric. Oh, Bobby's been
so that's why I mentioned it, Bobby.
Wow.
Oh wow. But yeah, definitely. As I said, we'll do that then. We'll hit two birds with one stone. Because we end up rambling about everybody else anyway, so we might as well follow it. And tomorrow night, Bri and Ian, I shall expect you back in your place in the cage. According to Ian, I've abducted you all. Nicholas is well behaved at you too, so I can't say much to Nicholas.
I was going to say, what are we going to be talking about tomorrow on the Frighteners?
You know, but we're going to talk about Chernobyl because none of us can remember what Bri's suggestion was.
It was 2 weeks ago, so even I can't remember.
That's that. So we just go with Chernobyl, and I watched 2 weeks ago and see what was said at the end. Because, as I said last week, obviously we had that week off because I discovered that Frighteners is actually nearly a year old. It'll be a year old in July.
Can't believe it's already gone by so fast.
Tell me about it. So I think, before Frighteners, I'm not a kick off the arse being a year with Something Spooky Network. I bet you missed those two other English guys. Yes, I've missed English very much. Ian's actually not English, he's Scottish, but I love ripping the piss out of him and telling him that he's English because he just hates it. He does. I tell him he's English.
Yeah, Cliff, we were talking earlier about having Bobby come on as a guest at some point. So yeah, we're gonna talk to him at some point and see if we can get him on as a guest.
Definitely, there is quite a few people that I do want to get on in relation to do with crime. It'd be really, really good.
Lauren's been on to Gettysburg 8 times, even did a ghost tour. That's amazing. I still haven't been to Gettysburg, and that's been on my list for years.
Get that suitcase back.
Poor bride. No one ever listens to him.
That's not true. I listen to him very, very contentedly.
Lauren took her son there when he was 7, could hear his name being called. Wow, I'm not surprised.
Oh, wow. But we love Bri, we do. We love Bri. I love Bri, and I love thanks Eric's checks in the post. See, I fucking knew you were paying them. But apart from that, guys, yeah, I've been nearly a year with Simply Spooky. I think, in fact, if my mind serves me right, I think it was June.
Yeah,
I think it was the month.
It was sometime during the summer that you guys started Simply Spooky, and then, of course, not long after that, you guys made the network itself.
Yeah, the finals. It was actually quite ironic because I was on the phone to Mama Viv and we were talking, and I said, just out of curiosity, I said, how long's Frighteners been going on? I says, I think we started something like in the September or August. How long I've been with Simply Spooky Network. And Viv actually was reading out the dates, and then it was going August, July, and I'm like, holy shit, is that the time already? So I think we worked out the first airing of Frighteners was the 1st of July, and if my mind serves me right, then that would make this show
3 years. That's what
3 years in June.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's the show itself.
It's the show itself. I'm talking about me coming on board.
Yeah.
The crime show, Mama Viv, you can back me up this one. If it started in the July nearly last year, then the crime show came after the Frighteners. I could be wrong, but I'm sure there's no much a difference between Frighteners and the crime show. I think there's only about a couple of months apart. Mind you, I thought fucking Frighteners had only been gone for August, and here it's gone for nearly a year. But yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't swap these shows, as I said in your birthday message, without you guys, without Bev, without Jeremy, couldn't have any shows.
You know, and not to mention also the other networks too that are involved, not just Things Network and Simply Spooky Network, but also for Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. You know what? Actually, because Lauren's here, maybe after we get off here, I'm going to send her the pages for the other networks, so that way she's able to focus on. So that way she's able to know which networks we're talking about. Speaking of which, she has what nationality is my surname? Oh man, see, I know this is gonna be a crazy question to ask. I'm always confused when it comes to surnames.
I'll tell you what, Nick. I'll do a wee bit of research for you, love, right? Because I want to know what the nationality of my second name's going to be when we go to North Carolina. So I just want to see if the first I want to see.
Oh God.
By the way, for him to...
Oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? I just had to look. I had to look up. Okay, so my surname. Okay, the nationality of it, believe it or not, is actually Italian because it comes from my dad's side of the family. So, because
Thai, really? Oh wow.
Yeah, it is from but like I said, I'm a combination of a different. Okay, so Lauren just wrote. She's French, Irish, Swedish, English, and German. Well, Lauren, to kind of tell you everything, that's just being Italian is just a part of me. I'm also, that's from my dad's side of the family. My mom's side of the family is Irish, but we also do have, as I told you, Lois, I do have some Scottish background along with some Canadian and French background. So I'm a combination of a couple different countries.
Oh, she uses me as a standstill.
Nick, in Chicago, beware, Nick.
Exactly. I'm laughing at Eric. Don't worry, Nick. I have the same problem.
Oh my God. didn't even see that at first.
I'm just Irish and German. Do you know what I would really love to do?
Yeah, Lauren, that's kind of the same thing with me. Most of the family members who are French came from Canada too.
No, what I would really love to do, I would really love to do Ancestry to see what percentage mine would be. And honestly, somewhere it's got to be the fact that I'm Italian because of my temper. Eris, what are you doing? She's a bloody menace. She's running round to try and pull my hands. But is there any last words you would like to say, Nick?
Not really too much. I mean, other than because I probably got more later to say tonight. Because just in a few hours, of course, I have Supernatural talk, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of nervous of what Jeremy's going to bring up for tonight because he's going to talk about me being blue. Damn it!
Well,
speaking of which, I actually, you know what? Maybe I should just do this just for the reaction. That video you were talking about with the show that Vivian did yesterday with Dan. So you said he was dressed up as what again?
He was dressed up as Tony Starkwell medium.
Okay, because I'm looking up right now. I mean, I'll have to watch the whole thing later, but I just want to see what you guys are talking about.
Is that or is that not Elton John?
That is okay. That is funny. Damn it!
Wait,
why did I watch it
right.
live?
Nick, you need to watch the full lot. It's so funny. Even when I asked for Stephen to get a reading, I was a butt joke of our Dan last night. I'm going to kick his ass.
He literally looks more like a psychic version of Elton John dressed up with those sunglasses.
As it was a brilliant, really hilarious. For everybody that's looking for that video, it's on Simple Spooky Network, and you'll find it under my video for tonight. You'll find it under. If you just scroll down one, you'll see our Tony Starkwell. He's definitely I will, Lauren, definitely. He's definitely he's the top medium. Tell him Nick is a made man.
Childhood friend is Italian, lives in Chicago. Awesome.
Ah.
Awesome. It's really awesome.
Oh wow, that's so interesting stuff, definitely, Lauren. But yeah, guys, we will see you tomorrow night for Frighteners. I shall have the men back in their cage. Well, no Nick, because he's my favourite, but I'll have the other two in. I really love you though, Brian.
And like I said, I'll be back on in just a few hours for Supernatural talk, which, by the way, I almost forgot to bring up, because I don't know if, I'm not sure if Jeremy said anything in the chat about it, but I believe, because I know he gave us an update on his surgery, which, by the way, was a full success. It sounds like he will be back for the show, so it'll be great seeing him.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Cotton rolls and cheeks that sounds like Godfather. They're not mess with Nick's patch. Are you talking about like my vest with patches, Vivian? I'm not sure. But yeah, Lauren, yeah, if you want to watch later tonight, I'll be back on here in just a few hours.
Definitely, but we'll catch you tomorrow, guys.
You guys all have a great night.
You too, thank you.
See you later.
Bye, guys.